Hi and welcome to this week's video. Got a lot on this week within my normal spare time, so probably won't get an awful lot done. My primary idea is to try and get the tail wheels sorted out and hopefully get the block work in and get this off the table, but I'm not sure I'm going to get that far. So we'll find out, so come join me. Okay, so I've bonded on ply plates top and bottom over a wood insert for the tail wheel mounting. This also should have the tail plane section going out. So what I'm going to do is I've marked the centre here and the centre here. I'm going to draw a line, a centre line down there, which will be the centre line for my tail wheel. Looking at the tail wheel assembly, it's quite heavy. It's got two holes very close together. That's not very good for mounting and stopping it from waving around. So this will be one of the mounting holes. There's going to have to be one further back, so I have to work out the position for that. Gaining a lot of weight here. This assembly here I think is a lot heavier than the original spring design, but this is what they supply now, so I'm going to have to be quite careful with weight towards the back. My intention is to mount this about here. That would put the hole, that hole there, in line with the original tail wheel mounting point, going by utilising the block which was supplied with the kit, which sat about there like that. So it had its ½ inch of sort of edge distance. I've just extended this a little bit more there. Well, I decided to keep that extra hole with the bit going across, and I've set up this hole as far back on the mounting as I could, drilled, and I've put in some bushings there for the bolts to go through. They'll have to be reamed. These two will be 3/16, and that one there will be 1/4, because it takes not only the tail plane strut mount bits, but also the seat belt shoulder harness bracket, which just fits perfectly across that little bit there. These bushings are done the same way as the ones on the spars, so they're 2 to 3 thou shorter than the width of the wood from here to here. So there is a little bit of squash factor, but when everything's torqued down, the metal work and that should be effectively against the bushing, but the bushing should be tight within the wood, so allow for shrinkage in the wood and movement that way. And that's all resined up, so I pre-resined the holes, resin around the bush, roughed the bush up, resin around the bush, and fitted it in there. So a good sturdy fitment in there to take the loading. And there'll be penny washers on the top side where the bolts go through to spread the load on the wood, and then on the bottom side, of course, we've actually got the bracket. So there are the bushings in position, 3/16 for those two. That one's reamed out to 1/4. On the plans it has the bolt going through there as a AN420A, holding the seat belt shoulder harness bracket at the back, but on the original sort of design, you can sort of see here that you've got sort of that seat belt bracket, then a washer, then it goes through the wood through the bushing, and then you've got the tail wheel spring, and then you've got the tail plane attached. Well, of course, you got rid of that, so it's a good chunk shorter. So there's no need for that sort of side of it. I don't really see a point in putting a washer there, on the grounds that that's a big spreading area anyway. So it's acting as a washer. So neglecting those two bits, it's gone down to to an AN 16A. So there's the basic assembly on. You can see that the nuts are going to safety. I might just put a washer under each of those, and probably underneath that one as well. Underneath you can sort of see that there's penny washers underneath the heads of the bolts for the 3/16 bolts, the rear ones, and you can see how that rear seat belt harness, shoulder strap harness section mounts on there. Of course, all this lot will have to be stripped down, varnished and everything else before it gets permanently fitted, but no, I've just got that bit sorted out. A little bit of work needed here. I've got to bend the ends of this at each end by 18 degrees. I think that will probably crack the powder coating on there. So before I take this off, I just want to take a quick measurement going across to the framework there, to the tip of this, which is effectively 1 1/8 to allow a little bit for the radius. I'm going to go 1 inch, so this is going to go into a vise, and I'll use an adjustable spanner going across here to bend it. But before I do that, while it's in the vise, I'm going to heat this up, hopefully, so that the powder coating doesn't crack. But that's the plan. We'll see how we go. Okay, so set up in the vise, 1 inch up. I've got this set at 18 degrees, so I can check when I bend it towards me. Hot air gun to warm it up, and this adjustable spanner, which I'll go on to put a little bit of a bend into this. Bear in mind this is steel, so we'll see how we get on. Okay, so there we go. We've got the angle spot on there. So I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So you can sort of see the paints, the powder coating's just come off on the corners there. So I'll just sand it back a little bit, and then I'll put on some high grade chassis paint just to make sure that that's protected. On the faces here, it's slightly marked, but it's not cracking, so I'm not going to have any corrosion or anything forming there. Well, that's it for this week. Not a huge amount done, not as much as I'd like. I wouldn't quite regularly say that, I know, but really got the tail wheel assembly sorted out, which you know, posed its own little issues and a little bit of thinking. I have done something every day for the aircraft, but a lot of it has been research work and calculations needed for various bits and pieces, like the main undercarriage, ordering components for that after a little bit of a workout on what size material I need to make it a welded undercarriage, to try to get the strength into it without any weight, on the grounds that my main undercarriage has been supplied with chrome moly steel tube and aluminium alloy plates that being bolted together. I'm looking at galvanic corrosion there, and all the stress and strains going through bolts, which I prefer to make it a bit more rigid. And as Fisher are creating welded undercarriages for their aircraft, I thought I might as well get this one welded as a reasonable compromise, using the previous style of bungee shock system. So there we have it, really. So let's see what we can get up to next week. Hopefully finish off some block work and get this off the table. Bye now, look after yourself. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.